Lando Norris may have just lost the championship, without even realizing it. The FIA found illegality on his car after the race in Abu Dhabi. The shock? This isn't just a technical fine, it could mean full disqualification and the title going straight to Max Verstappen. Red Bull is already pushing for an urgent ruling, and if the FIA confirms the infraction, history will be rewritten, and the championship could flip in a matter of hours. We are living one of the most dramatic post-race twists ever seen in Formula One. If you don't want to miss the decision that could change everything, subscribe right now. Abu Dhabi. The final race of the 2025 Formula One season. Lando Norris had just crossed the finish line in what looked like a career-defining moment, his maiden championship secured in one of the most intense seasons the sport has witnessed in recent memory. But within just hours of the checkered flag falling, Formula One was plunged into chaos. The FIA confirmed it had found irregularities on Norris' car during the post-race inspection. And those findings might not only undo his win, they could change the entire championship outcome. According to FIA technical delegates, routine post-race scrutineering uncovered structural inconsistencies in the floor assembly of the McLaren MCL38. It's a part of the car that's critical to aerodynamic performance, and any non-compliance can result in disqualification. The floor on Norris' car reportedly exceeded permissible flexibility limits, raising suspicions that McLaren may have exploited gray areas in the regulations to gain crucial time on track. These are not minor infractions. These are the kinds of findings that can and historically have erased entire race results. The timing could not be more dramatic. Verstappen, who finished second in the race, would immediately benefit from any disqualification applied to Norris. Red Bull Racing was quick to demand full transparency, lodging a formal request for the FIA to publicly release the technical report. Meanwhile, Verstappen's camp is on standby. If the FIA confirms a breach serious enough to warrant disqualification, Verstappen would reclaim the title, ending the 2025 season as a four-time world champion. Behind the scenes, the paddock is reportedly boiling with tension. McLaren's garage has gone from celebration to crisis management mode. Engineers are now scrambling to defend the legality of the car setup used in the Grand Prix. The team insists the floor passed all pre-race compliance checks and that any structural changes post-race were likely due to wear, not intent to deceive. But the FIA's data suggests otherwise. The deformation occurred in a pattern that has previously been associated with deliberate aerodynamic manipulation, under load, a serious accusation if confirmed. What makes the situation even more volatile is the precedent. In 2023, similar findings led to both Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton being disqualified from the United States Grand Prix for excessive plank wear. That incident set a strict standard: post-race legality matters more than pre-race intentions. In other words, if the car is illegal after the race, the penalty is non-negotiable. And that's exactly what McLaren is up against: the precedent of absolute enforcement. For Verstappen and Red Bull, this could be the most unlikely title win of his career. Not through domination or a dramatic overtake, but through disqualification of a rival. Some fans may question the fairness. Others will point out that technical rules are the backbone of F1, and the entire grid plays by the same book. If McLaren failed to stay within the lines, then the penalty, no matter how harsh, must stand. It's a brutal reminder that in Formula One, compliance is everything. And so, just hours after what looked like a coronation for Norris, the spotlight now swings violently back to the FIA headquarters. A full review is underway, with the decision expected within the next 24 to 48 hours. Will Norris be stripped of his first world title? Will Verstappen be handed a fourth championship in one of the most surreal twists in recent memory? One thing is clear: the 2025 season isn't over, not yet. The problem began where every championship should end, in the scrutiny bay. After the most intense race of the year, as teams cooled down and media celebrations began, FIA inspectors noticed inconsistencies on Lando Norris' McLaren that raised red flags. What should have been a routine inspection of floor wear and aero compliance turned into a technical crisis. The data didn't lie. The MCL38 had structural behavior that deviated from the regulations, and the stakes were higher than ever. The driver in question had just claimed the championship. At the heart of the controversy lies a suspected illegal deformation in the underfloor plank and diffuser assembly. In simple terms, the FIA believes Norris' car may have gained performance through parts that flexed under aerodynamic load, a violation that delivers a measurable advantage in both straight-line speed and cornering grip. These regulations exist to ensure that no team manipulates the car's ride height or ground effect beyond legal limits. And in this case, the FIA's initial telemetry suggests McLaren may have crossed that line, intentionally or not. Why is this such a big deal? Because the floor of an F1 car is not just another part, it's the foundation of the entire aerodynamic concept. Modern Formula 1 cars are designed around ground effect, where the floor generates suction to pull the car down at high speed. Any additional flex in the floor can reduce drag and increase speed, effectively bypassing the intended performance ceiling. That's why the FIA is unrelenting when it comes to flexi floor regulations. It's a zero-tolerance zone. McLaren's defense so far is focused on wear and tear from a highly demanding race. They've claimed the deformation may have occurred naturally over the course of the Grand Prix due to track-specific bumps and aggressive curb usage. But that explanation is shaky. Similar defenses have failed in previous seasons, and teams are required to account for degradation in their design tolerances. If the part was legal before the race but illegal after, the result is still a disqualification. That's the rulebook, black and white. From a championship perspective, the damage could be historic. If Norris is disqualified, not only does he lose the race win, but he loses crucial championship points, potentially enough to reverse the standings and hand Max Verstappen the title. The Dutch driver had been in contention all season and was narrowly edged out in Abu Dhabi. But now, the FIA's report might swing the pendulum back in his favor. In Formula 1, the final standings are never locked until scrutineering ends, and this is why. The psychological blow to McLaren is massive. After investing an entire season into building Norris as a title contender, they now face the very real possibility of having it all erased in a single document from FIA headquarters. It's not just about a trophy, it's about legacy, marketing, team morale, and financial bonuses that depend on final standings. A disqualification now would stain the biggest moment in the team's modern history, and the trust between fans and the McLaren brand could take a hit. Meanwhile, Verstappen and Red Bull remain publicly cautious but privately optimistic. They know the procedures, and they've seen this play out before when Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton were disqualified post-race in 2023. The precedent is clear. Illegal cars do not keep points, regardless of intent. If McLaren can't prove total compliance, Verstappen won't just benefit, he'll become champion. And that's the real problem. This scandal might not end with a penalty, it might end with a world title change. Formula 1 is a war of microns. Every millimeter counts. Every tenth of a second matters. In 2025, the teams have pushed the limits of material science, aerodynamics, and chassis flexibility further than ever before, and it's in that relentless pursuit of marginal gains that McLaren may have overstepped. The FIA's investigation into Norris' floor didn't come out of nowhere. It was born out of suspicions raised by GPS data, cornering speeds, and vertical oscillation metrics that showed behavior inconsistent with known legal tolerances. At the center of the investigation is a component that few fans ever see: the skid block. This piece of the car is mounted underneath the floor to regulate plank wear and prevent illegal ride height behavior. When this skid block wears beyond a certain thickness, it's a sign the car is riding too low and possibly gaining illegal downforce. And on Norris' car, that's exactly what FIA sensors picked up: excessive wear suggesting the floor was flexing more than permitted, allowing lower ride heights on straights and during DRS usage. McLaren's aerodynamic concept for the MCL38 has always been aggressive, centered around maximizing ground effect and rake transition. The team's engineers have relied on ultralight materials and sophisticated dynamic modeling to optimize airflow beneath the car, but such precision leaves little room for durability under race conditions. When combined with a hot Abu Dhabi track and aggressive curb riding, even the best simulations can break down. That's likely what tipped the floor into illegal territory: not just wear, but deformation in critical load zones. Meanwhile, Red Bull's RB21 passed post-race inspection without issue. Verstappen's setup, while equally advanced, is built around structural rigidity as much as aero exploitation. Adrian Newey's latest evolution of the RB philosophy favors stability through the floor, even at the cost of slightly higher drag. That might have made Verstappen marginally slower in qualifying, but it gave them a bulletproof package over a race distance, one that stayed well within FIA regulations under stress. That's why Red Bull now holds the upper hand, not through lobbying, but through engineering restraint. The controversy underscores a fundamental truth about Formula One: there is no margin for error at the top. McLaren's pursuit of aerodynamic perfection might have brought them a breakthrough weekend, but in this sport, innovation is only rewarded when it fits within the rules. The very technologies designed to win Norris the championship may now be the ones that take it away. These are the margins that decide careers. 1 millimeter too much flex, and an entire season collapses. What makes the situation more volatile is how deliberate the behavior appears. According to internal FIA analysis, the flex pattern on Norris' floor was non-linear, meaning it did not degrade naturally over the race, but behaved in a way that suggests intentional compliance up to a limit, then illegal performance when needed most. That kind of modulation implies a system that was engineered for controlled deformation. And in FIA terms, that's not where that's a breach of the design rules. The final decision will rest not just on measurements but on interpretation of intent. Was McLaren trying to walk the edge of legality and simply miscalculated? Or was there a deliberate attempt to create a system that could pass scrutineering and still deliver an advantage under dynamic load? The line between innovation and infraction is razor thin in Formula One, but this time, it looks like McLaren's floor might have gone one step too far. And if that's true, the engineering brilliance they deployed may end up handing Verstappen the championship.